A little history first. Back in 1999, Gary Niles, the Chief Juvenile Court Officer, came up with the idea that we should establish a drug court here because there had been lots of drug courts being opened and operated all across the country. So a committee was put together to discuss that issue. The net effect is that there wouldn't be a judge available to preside over these hearings given their docket. And so Gary came up with the idea of having community involvement, having local people, volunteers, to be the panel members.
In the late 80s and early 90s, there was a lot of research that showed that as we moved into the next century, that a lot of youth were going to be fairly godless and lawless, and that the numbers that we were seeing in the 90s that were very scary with gang involvement and whatnot were really going to escalate into the next century. So one of the things that we decided was to try to treat more people in the community, and we decided to do that through the institution of a drug court in Woodbury County.
Really, I think the heart of the program ends up being the community panels, where the community investment and involvement come into play, different than other jurisdictions across the country, where there's buy-in from the community in regards to helping people be successful. Maybe someplace where they haven't had a lot of success is in the community, and maybe had struggled for a long time until they came into that process of being involved in drug court, of seeing other people, members in the community that are out there working recovery, working a job, having a family, doing kind of all the things that maybe we, on the opposite side of the table, take for granted, that maybe somebody else hasn't always had in their life.
I love how we have 4 panel members coming together from such a variety of backgrounds, and they come together and they're almost always unified in what they're saying and what they're doing. And we've had many, many panel members spend time and money, even outside of drug court, and bonding and building these relationships with the clients. So there's something, I love our panel system and how it works. And we have people go, over and beyond all the time. And it's amazing how low our turnover is with the panel members. And we've had people who have volunteered for 20 plus years, and usually people come in and volunteer and they're here for a while. And it's really amazing, and that is the strength and it's kind of the backbone of our program. We know that.
It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. Before drug court, honestly, my mom had cut all ties off with me. Might make me emotional. I had sat in jail and all that time, and my visit from my mom was my last day in county jail, and she had no idea I was getting out. And she showed up to visit me, and I told her I was getting out, and she was blunt with me. She's like, I'm not going to be involved in your life until you prove it to me. And today my mom tells me she's proud of me. Even like when I celebrate my birthday on a daily basis, I talk to my mom every night and we say that we love each other. My friendships now with people are so amazing. I wasn't allowed to be at my brother's house anymore because I had ruined so many family things. And he's constantly calling me and inviting me over now, just on any given time. And my friendships, again, like I said, they're just real, people, if somebody sees me doing something that they're like, oh, I'm kind of worried, they're not afraid to tell me, you know what I mean? And I appreciate that, and it's the same for them. Like, I don't hesitate but to say, well, that's probably not a healthy choice. And I have beautiful friendships. I have friendships with my people in church, everything, so.
I've not had an addiction problem, but I have been that parent of someone that has been addicted. So I come from that point of view. I let them know it is hard to separate being angry and loving the child still, but for being, overlooking their abuse, but just still love them. And just the groups that are out there to help you to distinguish between those feelings. and to know that you can still love that child even though he has an issue or she has an issue. And I think I bring a lot to the table by telling them from my personal experience. I've always thought that personal experience is a lot easier than anything learned in a book. And you can be more endearing with that. And people can tell when you're not telling them the truth and when you're just saying it just to get you by.
But before I came into drug court, I was estranged from my family for like 22 years because I was a needle junkie, you know, and I was ashamed of myself. And every time I'd see them walking down the street, I would cross the street and stuff. And I had hardly any connections with my family. But then after I got in drug court, you know, I started seeing my father again and seeing my family, and started going to functions, family functions, you know, and everything. And you know, today things are just wonderful. You know, I mean, I got my family back. You know, I have a life now. You know, things are going really well with me. You know, and stuff, and that was due to drug court helping me out. I get a look into these people's eyes, you know, and I see the same thing that I felt when I came in, you know. I mean, there's a lot of people that they're scared about this program. They don't, you know, and the reason is because they don't know any other life, you know. And then here we are trying to tell them that we can help them out and get them going on things, you know. And they've been going through that life with disappointment after disappointment after disappointment, you know. And then finally when they start doing some of these things, and we don't, you know, we don't ask them to do stuff that's impossible.
I was a parent in drug court first, and now I'm a panel member of a juvenile drug court panel, and I have no idea how many years I've been doing that, but 7 or 8 years maybe.
I'm a drug court graduate and later on served on a panel. Clean and sober, 12 years now. It has been a complete 12 years. In a couple months I'll be finishing up my 3rd year of law school at the University of South Dakota. I'll be completely done with it at that point.
Back at the time we started this, we asked for federal money, so the federal people came in to review our program, and we explained it all to them, and they said, no way in the world would that work. And they were wrong. I'll show you just a little example. This is a book written by Dr. Vick, who was a panel member at one time, and his book discusses the Woodbury County Drug Court. And what it says is, our results are better than the national average as far as recidivism is concerned. And that's a great thing.
But if we could have then fast forwarded to now, we probably wouldn't believe the success that we've seen. The numbers of kids at the state training school have been cut in half. The number of youth in group care in our district have been cut in half. The number of referrals to our office for criminal violations have been cut in half. So back in 1999, when we were trying to chart a path, we could have never foreseen what 20 years would bring and what we're experiencing today in the court system.